I'm going to show you how to make the square block out of the large block collection by Kreative Kiwi. For this I'm going to be using a 5x7 hoop, a layer of medium weight cutaway stabiliser per hooping, and there will be 5 hoopings, a selection of threads, one with a matching bobbin, some cam snaps, T-pins, masking tape, squizzers, and my fabrics and batting cut to size. You'll find a link to this design in the video description below, and if you would like to take part in our prize draw, then just keep on watching as details will be given further on in this video. I advise you to watch this video before you start stitching to familiarise yourself with the project and to avoid making any mistakes. If you're going to stitch along with me to make this lovely little potpourri bowl, I strongly advise you to use 2 layers of washaway stabiliser per hooping rather than cutaway, so that once it's finished you can easily dissolve the excess stabiliser showing with some warm water and a cotton bud. Something that I forgot to factor into this little project. I'm very sorry. It still turned out fine though. You're going to start off by hooping your stabiliser, so place your stabiliser over the outer frame, insert the inside, and then we're going to pin around the top edge of our hoop to prevent our stabiliser from being pulled down between the 2 hoop pieces. So take a pin, any pin with a head will work, place it on the inside frame, push it through your stabiliser, bring it round and back through the stabiliser again, and that will anchor it. You're going to do that on all 4 sides, and the larger your hoop, the more pins you will use. And your hoop is now ready to go. I've loaded file 5x5 S1 into my machine, along with my matching bobbin and thread colour for the quilting. Now, if you're not adding a backing fabric in the hoop, then you don't need to use a matching bobbin. But for the project that I'm going to show you, I do need to add a fabric on the back of my hoop as we go. So pop your hoop into your machine and stitch round number 1, and that's going to give you your placement outline for your batting. Place your batting over the outline and tape it in place. Pop your hoop into your machine and stitch round number 2 to secure it. Trim away the excess batting from around the edge of the stitch line, taking care not to cut any stitches. We're now going to place our fabric both back and front of the hoop. So turn your hoop over, place your fabric over the outline and tape it in place. If you're not adding a backing fabric, then you can skip this step. And place my fabric on the front and tape it in place. Pop your hoop into your machine and stitch round number 3 to secure them, and that's also going to quilt them too. So make sure that you've got your thread colour for the quilting loaded into your machine. We're now going to trim up our work. Now you can either do this in the hoop or you can do it after you've removed your work. I'm going to do it in the hoop because I find it easier. And what we're going to do, we're going to cut down here, trim away the excess along here, and then straight over to here. We want to keep everything on these 2 sides. So I'm going to turn my hoop over And we can now free our work from the hoop. So I'm going to cut this out. Make sure that you've got your fabric underneath the hoop out of the way of the stitch line. You can do it out of the hoop as well, it's entirely up to you. I'm just doing this in the hoop. We're just going to tidy up the edges, so ready for our joins in the subsequent hoopings. So you want to cut close to the stitch line without cutting any of the stitches. And that's our first segment completed, and we can set our work aside for the minute. So this is the second hooping. Hoop and pin your stabiliser. Load file 5x5 S2 into your machine, along with your thread colour for the quilting. Pop your hoop into your machine and stitch round number 1, and that's going to give you your placement outline for your batting. Place your batting over the outline and tape it in place. Pop your hoop into your machine and stitch round number 2 to secure it. Trim away the excess batting from around the edge of the stitch line, taking care not to cut any stitches. We're now going to place our fabric. I'm going to place my backing fabric, so turn your hoop over. Place your fabric over the outline and tape it in place. Place your fabric for the front and tape it in place. Making sure that you've got your matching bobbin and thread colour for the quilting loaded into your machine. Now going to stitch round number 3. We're now going to trim away the excess fabric from both back and front of the hoop, and we're going to keep anything on these 2 edges. The rest we're going to remove. So turn your hoop over. We're now going to do our join, and we're going to place this stitch line here on top of this stitch line here and secure it to the hoop. And if, like me, you're using pins, make sure that you keep them right out of the way of the stitch line. And I'm just going to put a little bit of tape each side just to hold those edges nice and flat. Pop your hoop into your machine and stitch round number 4, and that's going to zigzag along here and join the 2 segments together. So check your join, make sure that you're happy with it. If you're not, unpick the zigzag stitching, reposition your segment, secure it in place, and then stitch round number 4 again. If you are happy with it, we're now going to stitch round number 5, and that's going to do the satin stitching along the join here. and I'm staying with my gold bobbin and thread colour. We can now free our work from the hoop, so turn your hoop over and taking care not to cut any stitches or fabric for that matter, free your work from the hoop. Just going to trim up along here so that it's all neat, ready for our joins. And that's our second hooping completed, and we can set our work aside for the minute. So this is the third hooping. Hoop and pin your stabiliser. Load file 5x5 S3 into your machine, along with your thread colour for the quilting. I'm staying with the gold with my matching bobbin. Pop your hoop into your machine and stitch round number 1, and that's going to give you a placement outline for your batting. Place your batting over the outline and tape it in place. Pop your hoop into your machine and stitch round number 2 to secure it. We're now going to trim away the excess batting from around the edge of the stitch line, taking care not to cut your stitches. So next we're going to place our fabric or fabrics, depending on what you're doing. So I'm going to start off with my backing fabric. So turn my hoop over, place the fabric over the outline, and tape it in place. Do the same on the front. Making sure that you got your thread or threads for the quilting loaded into your machine. We're now going to stitch round number 3. And I'm staying with my gold bobbin and thread colour. Trim away the excess fabric from along here and here. I'm going to start on the back of my hoop. So it's now time to do our join, and we're going to place this stitch line here on top of this stitch line here, making sure that all the lines line up. And if you're going to pin it, make sure that you keep it right out, your pinner right out of the way of the stitch line. If you find that, like here, it doesn't line up quite, just give it a little stretch, because what tends to happen is the stitches, once you release it from the hoop, tend to relax. Stretching it just Makes them all line up again. Pop your hoop into your machine and stitch round number 4. That's going to zigzag down here and join the 2 segments to the hoop. So check your join, make sure that you're happy with it. If you're not, unpick the zigzag stitching, reposition your segment, secure it in place, and then stitch round number 4 again. If you are happy, we're now going to stitch round number 5, and that's going to do the satin stitching along here. So make sure that you've got your appropriate thread colour for that loaded into your machine. I'm staying with the gold. That's our stitching for this hooping completed, so we can free our work from the hoop. So take care not to cut anything underneath your hoop. So we're just going to trim up our raw edge there, ready for our next joins. So cut close to the stitch line, taking care not to cut any stitches. And that's our third hooping completed, and we can set our work aside for the minute. This is the fourth hooping. Hoop and pin your stabiliser. Load file S4 into your machine along with your thread colour for the quilting. Pop your hoop into your machine and stitch round number 1, and that's going to give you a placement outline for your batting. And I'm staying with my gold bobbin and thread colour. Place your batting over the outline and tape it in place. Pop your hoop into your machine and stitch round number 2 to secure it. Trim away the excess batting from around the edge of the stitches, taking care not to cut any. We're now going to place our fabric or fabrics. So turn your hoop over, place your backing fabric over the outline and tape it in place. Do the same on the front. Pop your hoop into your machine and stitch round number 3, and that's going to secure your fabric and quilt it. And I'm staying with my gold bobbin and thread colour. It's time to trim our fabric or fabrics. We're going to cut down here, around here and along here. We start on the back. So now we come to our join, and we're going to place this stitch line here on top of this stitch line here, making sure that we align all our quilting lines and secure it in place. And if, like me, you're using pins, make sure that you keep them right out of the way of the stitch line. Put a little bit of tape down there just to hold those flat. We're going to be doing this join next, so I'm going to position that at the same time, and then it's going to stop this piece from flopping about all over the show. So place this stitch line here on top of this stitch line here and secure it in place. Again, keep your pins right out of the way of the stitch line. I'm putting mine hard up against my hoop. And a little bit of tape just to hold those nice and flat. Okay, so pop your hoop into your machine and stitch round number 4, and that's going to zigzag along here and join these two segments together. So check your join, make sure that you're happy with it. If you're not, unpick the zigzag stitching, reposition your segment, secure it in place, and then stitch round number 4 again. If you are happy with it, make sure that you've got your thread colour for the satin stitching along this join loaded into your machine, and then stitch round number 5. And I'm going with the gold. We now come to the second join. If you haven't done so already, place your segment and then you're going to stitch round number 6, and that's going to zigzag down here and join the two segments together. Check your join, make sure that you're happy with it. If you're not, unpick the zigzag stitching, reposition your segment, secure it in place, and then stitch round number 6 again. If you are happy with it, making sure that you've got your thread colour for the satin stitch of that join loaded into your machine, we're now going to stitch round number 7. So that's the stitching done for this segment. We can now free our work from the hoop, taking care not to cut any stitches or anything else underneath that you can't see. We're now going to trim up this edge, ready to join in our next hooping. So cut close to the stitches without cutting any. And that's our 4th hooping completed, and we can set our work aside for the minute. So this is the 5th hooping. Hoop and pin your stabiliser. Load file S5 into your machine along with your thread colour for the quilting. Pop your hoop into your machine and stitch round number 1, and that's going to give you your placement outline for your skirt. So we're now going to place the skirt. You're going to align the north, south, east and west with these markers and then secure it in place. And if, like me, you're using pins, make sure that you keep them right out of the way of the stitching. I'm going to do north and south first. And now the east and west. And keep your pins right out of the way of the stitch line. Pop your hoop into your machine and stitch round number 2, and that's going to stitch around here and secure the skirt to the hoop. I'm just going to move this pin before I do. So check that you're happy with the position of the skirt. If you're not, unpick the stitching, reposition it, and then stitch round number 2 again. If you're happy with it, we're now going to trim up the excess around here, between here and the stitch line, before we place our batting. You want a really nice sharp pair of scissors for this. We're now going to place our batting over the hole here and tape it in place. Pop your hoop into your machine and stitch round number 3 to secure it. We're now going to place our fabrics. So turn your hoop over, place your backing fabric over the outline and tape it in place. Do the same on the front. Pop your hoop into your machine and stitch round number 4 to secure it. Load your thread colour for the quilting into your machine and then stitch round number 5. And I'm staying with the gold bobbin and thread. Trim away the excess fabric from both back and front of your hoop, taking care not to cut your stitches. Load your matching bobbin and thread colour for the satin stitching around this edge into your machine and then stitch round number 6. And I'm staying with my gold bobbin and thread colour. We can now free our work from the hoop, so turn your hoop over and taking care not to cut your stitches or anything else underneath, cut around the edge. And I'm cutting very, very, very close to the stitch line so that there's no stabiliser showing. Okay, I'm happy with that. So that's the stitching finished. Next I'm going to trim up round the edge so that it's the same all the way around, ready for binding. And then after that I'll show you how we're going to convert it into a bowl. I've trimmed my block up and I've given myself a 7mm seam allowance to stitch my binding onto, which is 1/4 inch. And I've cut my binding to 50mm, which is 2 inches. Then I've pressed it in half and then folded it in and pressed it again, and that's formed my binding. I don't want it too wide, I just want it to come this side of this stitch line, hopefully. Okay, so let's get this stitched on. So I'm going to leave myself a tail, and then I'm going to clip this on for a minute. Then I'm going to start stitching about here, and I'm going to go down to the end, and when I get to about 1 centimetre from the end, I'm going to stitch off diagonally into the corner, and then I'll show you how I do it after that. Next, what we're going to do, I hope you can see this okay, so pull it upwards 90 degrees straight, and then pull your binding down so that the edges line up with here on the edge here, and so that your fold at the top lines up with this edge. And then we just carry on stitching. And when we get to the next corner, we will come off at 45 degrees straight into the outside of the corner again. Then we're going to turn our work 90 degrees, fold back our binding, and then fold it down again, level with the top and level with the edge here. I'm sorry if I appear to be struggling a bit. I can't see because I've got a camera in the way. Okay. And then we just carry on stitching to the next corner and do exactly the same. and then we'll come off at an angle in there. Okay, so we're going to repeat the same process on this corner. So pull it upwards 90 degrees straight, and then pull your binding down so that the edges line up with here on the edge here, and so that your fold at the top lines up with this edge. Just going to pop a clip in there. And there's our 45-degree corner. And our last corner, pull it back. Pull it down flat so that it lines up with the top and the edge. Now we need to stop when we get to about here so that we can do our join. Just going to cut that for a minute. Okay, to do the join, I'm going to fold this back at 45 degrees and just finger press the crease. And then I'm going to cut it, leaving about 1/4 of an inch seam allowance there. Then I'm going to bring that down and stitch it down to about here. And when I get down to about here, I'll come off at an angle like that. So to finish up, I'm just going to cut my tail fabric at 45 degrees thereabouts, like that. And now when we take it over to the other side, we just fold that over. Bring it over to the back and stitch it in place. And then you've got a nice neat drawing. Nothing complicated. Okay, so I'm just going to pull all my binding up in the corners. And there's my join. I'm going to start there. We're going to flip the binding over to the other side and pull it up. And it might be a good idea to trim off any little tails so that they don't end up in your work. Okay, there's one more here. Okay, so now let's go for where our join is. We're going to fold this over and bring it over to here. And I'm going to put a clip in there. Now I like to start off with my corners, so what I do is fold this over on all the corners. If you do this a different way, you do you, because there's no right or wrong way. You do with what you're comfortable with. Okay, so that's all our corners in. And then we're going to fold that down and clip it in place. And then when we get to the corners, we need to make sure that this covers our stitch line. Take something pointed and fold it over so that your tip here meets on the corner, or on the edge should I say, of your fabric, like that. And then you get a perfect 45-degree mitre. I'm going to get some more clips. We'll start off in the middle there. Fold it in half and then bring it over the stitch line. So bring that down. And once again, in the corner, place a thin object and bring it down so that the point is level with the binding edge. Okay, how about we add a little label? Put that in the corner there. Helps if it's nice and straight, of course. Can't see what I'm doing, that's the problem. Okay, there. Bring that down. Make sure that covers our stitch line. Oops, so clumsy. Got a little problem here. I can see that that's not completely covering. Oh, where's my little sharp tool? No, not perfect. Never aim for perfection. It doesn't exist. You just end up frustrated. Okay, that's better. Okay, now for our next corner, same again. Bring it over the stitch line. very difficult doing this when you can't see what you're doing. Actually, I think I'm going to move my tab because I think that's going to be in the way there when we come to do our corners for our dish. So I'm just going to put it in the middle there. I think it'd be better there. Oops. Don't hesitate to change things if you're not happy with them. You put a lot of effort into your work and you want to make sure that you're happy with it. If it doesn't work, change it. Okay. So get it over the line. I do like nice corners. I think it's the first thing I look at when I look at sewn goods. Okay, that's better. And last clip there, I think. No, still not happy with that corner. Yay. Okay. That's fine. It will do. It will be fine. Okay, so now I'm going to stitch around the edge, exactly the same settings. I've got my needle over to the left. I'm going to line up my foot with the edge of the binding and then just stitch all the way around. Okay. So there's my binding done, and I've pressed it. The next step is to make a little template out of a piece of card. What you need to do is decide where you want your bowl corners to be, and I decided that I wanted them to come to here. So what I did is I folded up the edge and I made a little triangle that goes to the line where I wanted it. So this is 5 centimeters by 5 centimeters, which is about 2 inches by 2 inches, just under. Okay, so this little template has got a hole in it, and that's so that I can mark where I'm going to put my cam snaps, because it's important to get them all in the same place. So a little template will help you there. So what we're going to do, this is the inside of my bowl and this is going to be the outside. So I just fold that over to form a triangle. Then I take my little template and I put it edge to edge. Take my pen, any pen you can use, it's not going to be seen, and just do a little dot. And I'm going to do the same with the other corners. You want to do that on all 4 corners. I'm going to do the other side as well. Okay, so I should now have 8 dots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. And that's where I'm going to be seating my cam snaps. So these are the cam snaps. You've got some buttons with spikes on them, and I'm going to need 8 of those. And then I've got 4 males and 4 females. So all I need now is my setting tool and an awl of some sort to poke holes in my fabric. So I'm going to set that aside for a second. So you can do these 2 at a time, but the idea of using the template is to make sure that you get, you know, the 2 snaps in the same place. So I'm going to push this through both layers. It's not too far out. Okay. Now this is going to be the inside, so I'm going to want a male and a female on the inside and the buttons on each on the out. So I'm just going to carry on making my holes. If you haven't got the strength to poke this through all the layers, then you can do them separately with the other marking that you did on the other side. Just be careful not to shove it through your hand. And one more. Okay. You're going to take one of the spiky buttons and push it through one of the holes on the back. Doesn't matter which one you start with. Then take a male or a female, it really doesn't matter, and put it on top. Then you're going to take your setting tool and you want the button to go in the black cup and the male or female goes onto the silicone piece. So place it over the top and then squeeze hard. And that's now set. So let's do the next one. And of course these got to work in pairs, so if you put a male there, you've got to put a female there. You don't want 2 males or 2 females. So I've got a male there, so I'm going to need a female this time. Seat it in the cup and squeeze hard. So another spiky button. And a male. Seat it in the cup and squeeze. This time it's a female. Another spiky button. And a male. And this time a female. And the last 2. Okay, let's see what we've got. One little bowl, and all that's missing is some potpourri. You can put sweets, keys, anything you like in these. I'm going to put some potpourri in. And that smells gorgeous. And there we have it, our little flat bowl. Okay, so it's competition time. If you would like to win Kreative Kiwi loyalty points to the value of this design, like, subscribe and share this video. I really do appreciate it, and it really does help my channel and help me to keep making videos for you. And then tell me what you're going to make with this block set. This competition will close 6 p.m. Central European Time +2 on Sunday the 15th of June, and a winner will be picked at random from all the valid entries. So be sure to check back and see if it's you. Good luck and thanks for taking part. Just a little presentation idea for you. Fold the bowl on the diagonal and close the snaps. Fold back your corner, just one of the corners. Then you're going to tuck it inside the other and close the snaps onto each other so that it holds it. And then tuck a little bag of potpourri. Do it through the other way, it'd be easier. Inside, and it will stand up on its own. I hope you enjoyed this stitch along. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to be notified of new videos as soon as they're published. Do pop along to Kreative Kiwi's Facebook group. There's always lots of ideas, help and inspiration there for everybody. And thank you very much for joining me. You'll find a link to this design in the video description below, along with lots of other things, such as where I get my supplies, and some discount codes for you as well. Thanks for watching. Take care, and I hope you'll join me next time.